ghostly mark. Cobwebs twine and shadows dance in this twilight somber trance. Candles flicker, weary wicks, ancient echoes, time's cruel tricks. Marble figures, frozen pose, amidst the silence sorrow grows. Whispering shadows, secrets keep in the depths where night meets sleep. Underneath the velvet gloom, guardians of the haunted room. Chandeliers in crystal tears reflect forgotten yesteryears, softly chanting distant cries. Through the arches sorrow sighs. Gargoyles watch with stony gaze, guardians of endless maze. Pipe organ's breath begins to rise, filling air with mournful ties. Whispering shadows, secrets keep in the depths where night meets sleep. Underneath the velvet gloom, guardians of the haunted room.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is ostensibly a red lady who wears pants of black. Hi, chat. How are you? How is everybody today? And I do have a lictor, though. Whether OBS is going to decide lictor exists or not, we will find out. Say hi, lictor.
My existence shall not be denied. The crab demands it.
It worked immediately, and I didn't have to change any settings. This is amazing. It is a rare day, chat. A rare day. Hello,
Indeed.
Night Owl. Night Owl, you can
Hello, Night Owl.
pop the concern into a box. It's going to be okay. I promise it will be less chaotic than last night. How does that help?
I have a new hat? Do I?
I have not
What?
put anything new on you. No, you still have your hat on a hat.
Do I need a new hat? Wait a second.
Do you need
I
a third hat?
Do I? Chat. It's a new year. A Grimos, do I require a new hat? I've been
recovering by doing French things. Oh my goodness. I hope meringue was involved.
I'm French.
Good job. Well done.
There you go.
I will promptly have a war with you for 100 years. This is fine.
Well, okay, fine.
Ravana says a tricorn would be appropriate. Apparently you now also need a tricorn. You might need to put the tiny bowler hat on top of the tricorn hat and have the tricorn in the middle.
I listen. Okay, you know what? Okay, and now I know what I'm doing this little stream of hours.
I'm banging on about nonsense. Oh, Cookie Mama is home and not feeling well. Illness is illegal. Please get better soon. My friend Cookie needs to be healthy. That would be nice.
Yes. One moment. Why don't I have my file with the crab insignia on it.
I do not
Ah,
have.
there we go.
It
There
says
we go.
even
Now we
hats
do.
need hats, which also need hats. Or to quote a certain internet hat salesman, buy a hat for your hat.
I do have a hat on my hat.
You do, but now your hat needs a hat for your hat.
And it needs to be a tricorn.
Oh no,
I understand.
we have Zork this week. I'm sure this will end
We
well.
have Zork. We have everything will be fine. Cookie, be well. Speedy healing, whole health to you. Please, quickly. It is required by mandate of law.
Yes.
And at least 7 different seraphim.
So I do have a short story to read to you guys
Yes.
today, which invokes the toy maker in one line. So that maybe that will make Zork happy, and Night Owl won't be having a conniption about the war crimes.
I mean,
we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. Okay. So you will read the story. I will make sure I have a tricorn hat. Wait 1 moment before we start with the tricorn hat. I do need specifications. Tricorn hat. And tricorn hat is usually black with a trim. What color should be the trim?
Or a deep blue with a trim. The trim is typically silver or gold, I think. So
That is true. However, I
pick
have been
those.
challenged. Chet picks. I do not pick. I do not pick my colors. The Chet.
What
is the
colour
one-
tricorn is Lichter adding onto his hat collection, chat? Zork says purple.
I mean, I do have a salmon trim on my bowler hat.
Purple is a
So-
royal colour, so, you know, purple.
It is a royal color. This is why I have it glowing in my great Cyberman eyes.
Your absolutely normal human eyes, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like how's that the name of it? Kevin, right? Just like Kevin. I think it's Kevin. No, Kevin was the guard. Kevin was the enforcer.
Do we mean Steve
Good.
Human?
Yes, right.
Steve,
It was
yes.
Steve. Steve is the perfectly normal human guy that serves on Bulkhead 42.
Yes, and does nothing weird whatsoever.
Of course not. Just like any other human on the team, he lights his glow sticks on the melter gun, as like all normal people do.
Absolutely.
Just as Carlos.
A violent yellow-green. The trim needs to be contrasted against the base material of the tricorn hat. Yes, yes. Zork is suggesting hazard tape black and yellow.
That is kind of awesome.
And
do
Introspective
that.
has made 8 months of bad decisions. Good job. Right, one of the things I'm going to do is our wonderful Tired German, who does excellent artwork for us, has just let me know that we have an update. So he has added a thing. So let's go grab that and take a look at what Tired German's been up to. I just need to find where I've hidden everything. Here we go. It should be in here.
In China. In Little China, specifically.
Is there big trouble in Little China?
Well, there's... Tired German has put things in Little China, and there has been big trouble there. So yes, I believe...
Here we go. Here
we
is
agree.
our
Green
Podlin, sort of viewed from above, doing his Podlin thing.
Yes.
David Lopan style, yes. We also introduced, while Doctor Who's the Chef was here, we introduced Big Trouble in Little China to him as well. So I've watched that movie like 3 times in the space of like 4 months recently, which is fine because it's a great movie.
It is a great movie. And trust you me, it's really hard to get to the higher floor. Really
Yes.
hard. It wasn't easy. Nope.
Egg Shen, best character.
Action. Easy there, action.
I really like this work Tired German has done. I really like the
really do
perspective
too.
work on the shell as well. That must have taken some effort. It would have broken my brain trying to think that way. That looks
dear
extremely
God.
cool.
Podlins are awesome.
They are. I love the fact we have an underwater snail people. We just have the coolest things.
We do.
All right, we
Really
also
usual.
have something to look out from you as well, don't we, Lichter? I should
Yes,
say
I've been
this, but that's
bothering
right.
you people with that piece of art for way too long.
I love the fact that you also had to draw the butt of this piece of art.
You can show the butt to the people too. It's not as done as the rest of it, but you can definitely show the butt as well.
There we go.
One one moment, I'll make sure. Okay. I will.
So
One
we
moment.
have the finished piece of Gravenquire with his actual, book title information around him, which is extra. Oh, I say book title, story title information around him, and his classification, etc. And I think he looks amazing, and I love the gate in the background behind him.
Yes, the mortal gate is there
It's
behind
so cool.
with the broken piece behind because well the pale crown has shorn it off. This is post story.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Ed says, I
and
love the Metroid vibes. Yes, I see where those are coming from, and it's very cool. The perspective on this, that just sort of slight upward angle. Oh, it's so good. The shape language in this is excellent, and the color choices are wonderful, and I love everything about this.
and here's Robobutt.
Oh, if you sent me
There you go.
Robobutt, I will take a
Yes.
look at Robobutt.
Okay, because someone had made a deal that if Robobutt, then SDL possibly.
Yes.
Most audacious.
Yes, we may have quietly bullied certain people into doing cool things for us. So let's take a look at Gravenquire's butt, because we can. Yeah, this one. There it is. There we go. Gravenquire also has a butt. Be impressed. Be very impressed by the butt of Gravenquire. It is indeed the bestest robot. Robooty, says Gothdrop. Oh, Wilf has a good idea. Robot could be on the back cover.
You're not wrong. I need to write a novel to match the cover. That would be a thing. The adventures of. Good God. Can you imagine writing the dialogue for Gravenquire post Awakening? It would be the most terse thing ever. It's like, hello. That's the entire line for the entire chapter.
What more do you want from me?
I don't do
I
dialogue.
love this. Can we also just have some appreciation for Lichter's art conceptualization inside the brain meats? Because being able to draw a thing is all well and good. Being able to then imagine that thing in a different angle and draw the bits that you didn't have to think about when you were creating the original is a secondary skill all its own, and I'm very impressed.
Thank you. Start playing the Moto Moto theme. What's a Moto Moto?
You will probably have to look that up online because I'm not going to be able to describe it. Right,
Okay.
let
Yeah.
me move
Alright.
this one off. Boop. There we go. And then we can figure out what we are doing for today and in what order, and whether vague, veiled threats need to be followed through or not. So I would like to do some more glossary stuff today, and I am pleased to announce that all the glossaries work we did last week is in fact already in the compendium. I did do that thing what I said I would do. So that's a good thing, and I can show you guys. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen... did I ever show you what the back of home brewery looks like?
You did, but we will need to see it again.
You want to see it again? Okay, the back end of how that all goes. So let me bring that up, because I can do that thing. Let's get Twitch to flick over. There we go. This is what home brewery looks like when I am working on it. I have this nice little pseudocode nonsense going on the
That's
left
MD.
side. Yep, and
That's
then
called
Yeah.
called MD file.
and then on the right side it lets me see what we're doing in real time. So that's always nice. And if we scroll down to the glossary, behold, I have actually started putting the things in, just like I said I would. So last week we managed to put together 2 pages worth that went in there, which was really cool. And I'd like to do a little bit
Amazing.
more today, which would be very, very nice. But I do also have a short story that I wrote this week because I just was not in the right headspace to work on the main book. I'm very sorry for that. But, I did do some cool things with the things that we've done. So,
No need to be sorry. We're doing all at our pace.
yes, this year I'm determined to try not to overstress myself about things.
How terrifying a concept.
Yeah, like last year, I'm very proud of everything I achieved last year, especially under the circumstances, but I would like not to relive last year.
Yes.
We need to hash out that blood on the lens write-up. We do. We absolutely do. We'll have to book out some time, and I will make myself available. I can't do this weekend because I'm booked tomorrow, and on Sunday I have a meeting with somebody I'm assisting with their writing projects. But next week, sometime next week onwards, I will be able to. So you let me know when works. Monday or Wednesday. Monday would be better because Wednesday I stream in the evenings with Aloe, and it's nice to have the time before that to get some stuff done. So Monday would be best. I can do Monday. Let's see what else. Back end reminds me of MATLAB back from uni times. Fair enough. Yes, I wrote a short story. It's a short story, and I was kind of inspired by all of the wonderful horror write-ups you guys have been doing over in the Orcs chat, and I would like to read the latest one we got from there before I do anything else. So let me turn this off. We'll go back to Shoal. Let me click over to the Orcs, because Zork had an idea for a horror movie thing. And I quite enjoyed it. So I will read this one to you and we'll see what chat thinks. So the name of this would be Push, and the tagline, Last One's Free. Synopsis. An up-and-coming Titan pilot is in their last year of academy. The valedictorian of the year gets the rare honour of being the guardian of the local Temps coral repository. They're feeling the pressure and stress and starting to crack when they hear a rumour about a new drug making the rounds. It's called Black Pearl, and supposedly it can turn an average pilot into a prodigy without leaving a trace for tests to find. Desperate to earn the highest honour, they cave and find a dealer. And it works. They blast to the top of the rankings, a meteoric rise with no signs of slowing down. Sure, when they're off, everything gets fuzzy around the edges, but just pop another pearl and they're back on top. And they make it. Valedictorian and guardian of the repository. They go back to the dealer right before their first night on the job to get one last dose. The dealer has vanished but left them a gift, an experimental strain of Black Pearl. The attached note says, and it hits harder and faster but doesn't last as long. The note says that they should only take it when they need a push. The pilot swims off, ready to start their guardianship. And then we have the spoiler for what would happen in this story. As the pilot is manning their post, middle of the night, no one else around, the pilot feels themselves flagging and, remembering the dealer's gift, pops it. But something's wrong. The fuzziness isn't going away. In fact, it's getting stronger. The pilot feels a gnawing sensation in their stomach and looks down. They see silence burrowing their way out of the pilot's flesh, filling the Titan's cockpit with blood and chunks of flesh. The pilot screams, and the scene cuts to a cliff overlooking the city. We see the dealer, and as alarms begin to wail from the city, the dealer begins to dance to their tune, cackling madly. The Black Pearls? They're bioengineered eggs that coated themselves in a psychoactive shell and remain dormant until activated. The gift is the activation chemical. The dealer is a silence cultist. The dealer whirls around and stares at the camera like they can see the audience. They reach forward, a black pearl in their palm, and reach forward as though to offer it to the audience. The reaching arm would have a 3D effect, so it seems like the dealer is reaching through the screen. Smash cut to black screen, roll end credits. I really like that not only can I see that as a horror movie, but it's also, yes, you remember when everything was in 3D and that was just such a gimmick?
That is very good. I really enjoyed reading this. It really hit. I mean, this is what Sholey would consider a horror story. The idea of someone deranged enough to willingly infect a repository. This is everything we needed.
Yes. Yes, so I did end up inspired by that to write something that's not a horror story, but I did want to write something that just had sort of a little bit of suspense and etc. to it, and it just got me in the mood for writing at least something this week. So, I did that whole, defeat the blank page, and I did write something. So if you guys would like, I can read that, or we can get straight into doing some glossary work. It's up to you guys. Hello, Treese, welcome in. 3D movies where the plot revolves around throwing stuff at the screen. Yes, looking at you, my bloody Valentine.
I like throwing things at stuff.
I think there were a couple of Jason movies that were specifically made to be 3D as well, and very silly as a result. So I'm seeing a ping. Let me go and check this ping. It's probably not an important one for me, and then we'll see what chat wants to do.
Chat wants to hear you read a story.
Chat wants to hear me read a story? We want story time?
We require story time, says Ed.
We require story. This introduces the idea of coral terrace. That was actually something we did discuss way back when. I think it was beginning of summer last year. We were discussing that when the genesis of the entire religious structure was being built. So we did have that sort of idea that would be a thing. And of course, yeah, you brought in the idea of pearls, which everyone latched onto. And, it's grown out into this. We've now got this cool idea for a horror movie from Zork. So I remember a Ring sequel that was 3D back in the day, but mostly jump scares. Yeah, The Grudge. Did The Grudge fall into the same pit? I don't remember. All of that sort of error all runs together because it was all gimmick and no actual creative passion and story stuff. But put a pin in that thought, because we'll come back to that after I read the short story, because I might want to talk about villains today and some thoughts I had after watching somebody talking about the concept. Yeah.
People talk about things?
Yeah, I know, and sometimes I watch other people being intelligent about stuff and don't just witter away to myself. It's amazing.
What? Okay. I mean, my eyes are opening, new concepts are coming in. Okay, right.
All right, but for now we will do some reading. I wrote a story, it's about 3,500 words, called Where the Titans Rest. And I set it in an area that we haven't sort of really written anything for yet, so I hope you guys will enjoy. Where the Titans Rest. The gloam was ending. Soon, Mern would shine again. Nera had lived through enough cycles to know the first returning light as gloam gave way to lambent was never bright. It arrived in diluted threads, thin as filament, pale enough to doubt. Nevertheless, those first ephemeral shards of light were always marked. They changed everything. Hunting patterns, bloom schedules, migration routes, even the moods of coral and its reefs. It was a time of change for the whole world, and Nera usually looked forward to it in the celebrations in the upper waters. This year, though, she had to work. Her team had drawn the final gloam watch in the Titan Garden. No one called it a graveyard out loud. Not because it wasn't one, but because names had weight on Shoal and weight tended to sink. They called it the Garden because the coral had claimed it and the pilots came here to reminisce and rest. Because it was a place where retirement and end of service became new life. A liminal space where the past held up the oncoming future. The garden lay in a basin where ancient currents curled like sleeping animals. Retired Titan shells stood arranged in a wide arc along the basin wall. Hulks with their limbs folded, dorsal vents sealed, plating furred in coral growth. Some were intact enough to look merely at rest. Others were half buried, their frames turned into scaffolds for reef and soft body life, their cavities colonised and alive. And coral threaded the whole place together. Defunct titans made excellent seedbeds for new coral. Here, in the ever-moving tides of Umdari span, a little patch of stillness bristled with burgeoning life on the bones of the departed. The coral linked everything, threading through living bridges of coral and sponge, touching anything that deigned to stay still and let it. In places, the bridge pulsed faintly, responding to touch, current, sound. The garden was only made from the dead. Everything else about it had a melancholic lust for life. Nera's suit ran silent except for the smallest compensation jets. She kept her lights low, haloed to amber so they wouldn't flare against the silt. Bright light underwater was an announcement. Amber was a question. Behind her, Tal drifted with the wary ease of a psyoptic veteran who'd learned not to look too hard at anything. His comms rig was bulky, studded with sensor petals that opened and closed like sea flowers when he pinged the water. The petals were currently tight, folded in. Brine brought up the rear. A coral tender in soft gear instead of hard shell. It made her more flexible but much less protected. Brine's gloves were patterned with fine conductive filaments so she could interface with living coral without burning it. She also carried a small case of offerings. Mineral slurry, trace salts, and curated nutrient gel. Like all tenders, she joked they were gifts for the reef. Perhaps that was true. The coral's song certainly seemed more complacent at harvesting when it was well fed. The group had a simple assignment, the last for this season before a rest cycle. Retrieve an old Titan's new Temps seed before the corals fully encapsulated its location. Temps was rare enough, that grown on an elder warden rarer still. Brine called it a Titan's drift seed. If they recovered it whole and it was robust enough, there was a chance the new coral would bear some lingering memories of the host shell. Sometimes drift seeds remembered map coordinates no living shoalie had ever seen. Sometimes the coral remembered nothing from its host environment at all. Life, even that the shoalie made, had no guarantees. Whatever the coral would turn out like, it would still be precious. The core would be transplanted into a new Titan being grown far to the east, along the warm shelf where the coral worked faster. The seed would carry roots forward, or a brand new personality all its own. Either way, it was a kind of inheritance. And tonight, on the first night of returning light, inheritance felt loaded. Nera slowed as the basin widened. The Titans were visible now. Their silhouettes were wrong in the way large things underwater always were. They felt too close and too far at once. Their edges didn't look like edges. The water softened them into suggestion. The currents pulled her in and pushed her away like the whole garden was breathing. Her suit pinged a proximity warning. She ignored it. Proximity warnings in the garden were constant. The place was full of cavities and overhangs and delicate living bridges. The right move was always slower, gentler, and more patient than your suit thought you had time for. Tal's comms clicked once in her ear, his way of asking permission without words. Nera responded with a short pulse of her shroud. Hold, listen. They drifted. At first she heard only the normal language of deep water. Distant current shear, the faint pop of a bubble released from some creature's body, the long, slow creak of a Titan's plating as temperature shifted. Then the garden answered. A hum rose through the basin, so low it wasn't quite sound. It was vibration that made the water feel thicker. Nera felt it through her teeth. Her suit's readout didn't label it as a threat. Brine lifted a hand in a gesture that meant coral active. Her fingers moved as if she was counting something in the water. Tal's petals opened a fraction. His head turned slightly, tracking. Huh. The reef is starting, Brine said over comms, voice quiet. Something's waking the bridges. Why now? Tal asked. Brine's pause was too long. Because the light's coming back, she said at last, and Nera couldn't tell if she meant it like a fact or like a warning. It must just be the coral sensing lambent before we see it. My timing must just be off. Nera angled them towards the target Titan, an old model with a broad chest and thick forelimbs meant for trench walking deep under the span. Its plating had been chewed by time and coated in coral, but the frame still held posture, like it had died mid-kneel and found rest there. The coral had grown an arch from its shoulder to a neighbouring Titan's skull plate. The arch glowed faintly in pulses, a slow exchange. Nera kept her distance and raised her tool pack. She selected a cutter with a cold edge that wouldn't burn living coral on contact. She'd done this before. You didn't pry, you didn't force. You negotiated with the garden's patience. Brine drifted forwards first, offering case open in both hands. She pressed a sachet of mineral slurry against the coral arch and let it dissolve. The arch brightened for a moment, as if tasting. Brine laid a gloved palm on the bridge and stilled. Nera waited. The only way to rush a coral was to leave and come back when it was ready, which was just another way of saying that you couldn't rush it. After a long minute... Oh, I've lost it. Lost my permission. After a long minute, Brine nodded once. Permission, she said, but not silence. The garden seems uneasy. No, not uneasy, more like anticipating? Tal made a sound that wasn't quite a laugh. That's comforting. Brian didn't answer. All three of them could feel it in the song. The garden was alert. Nera moved in. The Titan's drift seed housing was beneath the stern plating, behind a seam that had been left ajar precisely for this reason. Inert coral and resplendent sponge had grown over the seam in a delicate lace, almost decorative. In a few months, it would be covered completely. Nera's cutter hovered. She hesitated. It's only an old dead shell of a machine, her practical training tried to insist. But it wasn't, not really. Titans were grown, not built, and their deaths were never fully clean. Their bodies became reef. Their memories became roots in new frames. Their bones became a record of the past, bereft of the personalities that had once thrived there. Nera placed the cutter gently along the seam and activated it. The tool didn't whine. It sang, a thin, controlled vibration tuned to separate living reef away without heat. The lace of coral shivered but didn't flinch away. Then, a second later, the garden's hum changed. Not louder, directional. The anticipatory vibration that had been everywhere suddenly had an angle, like a face turning towards them in the dark. Nera froze, cutter still running. Tal's comms petals snapped open fully. Did you? He began. A new tone chimed through their private band. 3 rising chords. Tal went still. No. Nera killed the cutter. What is it? Tal's voice lowered. A handshake on our channel. That's not possible. Tal's petals fluttered, reading. It's our header, our mission tag. It's us. That's our handshake. Brian's breathing hitched in her comm. Nera didn't move. She spread her shroud, scanned the basin, searching for an obvious culprit. A comm buoy, a hidden relay, another team playing a prank. Nothing. Only Titans, the coral bridges, and drifting specks of pale biolume in the water like dust motes in the dark. Tal swallowed audibly. Though, timestamp's wrong. How wrong? Nera asked. Tal didn't answer at first, and that was the answer. 2 hours ahead, he said. The water suddenly felt too close, too present, too aware. Nera forced herself to look at Brian. Coral can record and replay signals. Brian nodded once, slow. Yes. So it's an echo, Tal said, relief in creeping into the word like a parasite. We haven't broken time, the garden is just playing it back and got part wrong. Brian's pause returned. Not quite. Nera's patience tightened. Brian's voice was careful. The garden doesn't replay things like a device. It revoices them. It chooses. This is a living thing after all, not just some relay. Tal went very quiet. Nera's suit gave another proximity warning, sharper. Something large had shifted behind her. She turned. At first, she saw nothing but shadow, because the garden was built of shadow. Then the shadow slid, and a faint glimmer traced along one of the rock edges of the garden, a cliff face atop the natural cliff face. It wasn't rock or titan plating. A living curve, she thought. A body. Not close, it was still at the edge of visibility, but big enough that the edge of it could be mistaken for a change in the world's shape. Big enough her suit had detected its movement as a physical thing right behind her. A leviathan. It clearly wasn't one of the small shelf hunters that got called leviathans by excited juveniles. This was basin deep. Old. Something that had crawled unnoticed up from the depths of the trench. It moved without hurry. The water didn't bubble around it. It simply made room around itself, silent and inexorable. Nera's lights were still low, but even low light was a beacon in the gloam. The Leviathan's head, if that serpentine sweep of frills was the head, tilted in their direction, and she had the sick feeling of being heard rather than seen. Something immense brushed her shroud, and she flinched, tightening it without conscious thought. Tal's voice came thin through comms, his clicks quiet and tremulous. We shouldn't be here. Brian's hand pressed the coral arch again, fingers splayed. The arch brightened. The hum shifted. The garden spoke, not in words, but in pressure patterns that her suit translated as a warning icon. Tal's rig chirped and overlaid a crude interpretation. Do not speak loudly. Nera couldn't help it. She almost smiled and nodded. And then the smile died because that impression was not meant for her team. It was meant for the Leviathan. The Leviathan drifted closer, enough now that Nera could see lines along its flank. Pale ridges that might have been scars or natural structure crisscrossed it in patterns too regular to be random. Its skin held faint iridescence, like a map that only appeared at certain angles. To her relief, it wasn't hunting. To her concern, it was listening. The garden's hum deepened again, and the coral bridges between titans brightened in sequence, one after another, like a wave of thought passing through them. Nera realised with a sudden, cold clarity what she was seeing for the first time, despite how many times she had worked the garden. The titans here weren't just arranged. They were tuned. Standing frames and hollow cavities, plated ribs and coral bridges, they formed a basin-wide instrument, a choir of dead machines made into a living resonator, revealed inside her mind's eye in a moment of unwanted clarity. The Leviathan was here to use it. Tal's comms petals quivered as a new signal swept through the water. It wasn't on their band. It wasn't comms at all. It was an acoustic pattern, low and vast, that made Nera's suit compensation jets twitch. Above them, far above, beyond the waterline, Skyfall season had arrived just as the lambent came in. They couldn't see the meteors from here, not directly, but Shoal's ocean felt the surface impacts as pressure pulses that travelled down like slow thunder. Each strike was a soft hammer on the world's brightening lid. The Leviathan moved with the pulses, adjusting position like a needle finding a groove. Then it sang. Not the kind of singing that came with teeth and violence, not a roar. A low, sustained resonance that travelled through the garden and came back differently each time it touched a titan frame. The sound was too big to hold in her head. It made her bones vibrate and her thoughts blur at the edges as if her mind wanted to join the chord. Tal gasped. "It's..." Brian cut in sharply. "Don't name it." Nera didn't know why that mattered, but she obeyed instinct. Names had weight. Weight sank. Sinking things got swallowed. The Leviathan's song shifted, and the coral bridges answered, brightening in counterpoint. The garden wasn't passive. It was participating. Nera suddenly understood the earlier impulse. The coral wanted the Leviathan soft to keep the basin stable. Sound at this scale could shake silt loose. It could collapse delicate bridges and reef. It could bring down a rain of debris from the basin walls, right on their heads. Another skyfall pulse came, stronger. The basin shuddered. Fine silt lifted like fog, turning the water into a slow storm. Nera's amber light diffused into nothing. Visibility dropped to an arm's length. Her suit flashed an alert. Orientation loss risk. Tal cursed once, small and scared. "Nera, I..." "Hold the Titan," Nera said, voice steady by force. "Anchor hands. No jets." She reached back and found the Titan's plating by feel, cold under the coral fur. Tal bumped into her shoulder, then found purchase. Brine pressed in on the other side. They became three small creatures clinging to a dead giant, while a living one sang the sky into the water. The sound didn't stop. It changed around them, and in the murk it felt closer. Something brushed under their feet. Nera's suit lights flickered once, then went out. For half a heartbeat there was only black, and her body tried to panic like a normal animal. The Leviathan was loud and close. She could imagine the great frilled head weaving between the titans, searching, looking, scenting, seeking the little snacks out of place and out of their depth. Then the garden lit. Not bright, not helpful, just enough. The coral bridges pulsed, and the silt storm caught the faint glow, turning the water into a field of slow-moving stars. Titan frames emerged as dark silhouettes against the living lines. The basin became a map drawn in phosphor. Brian's voice trembled. "It's beautiful. We aren't supposed to be seeing this." Nera didn't answer. She didn't trust her voice not to shake. A shape passed close enough that the water pressure changed around her helmet. Nera held onto the Titan harder and closed her eyes. She did not feel teeth. She felt a sweep, a presence checking the edges of its own sound. The Leviathan was calibrating. Tal whispered, It's using the Titans to see the sky fall. Nera understood. The surface impacts were too chaotic to interpret directly at depth, but with the garden tuned as an instrument, the Leviathan could translate the sky's violence into patterns it could read, like a blind creature reading Braille through song. The most haunting part wasn't that it was possible. It was that it felt practiced. The skyfall pulse pattern changed again, then again, and the Leviathan's resonance followed with intimate precision, as if it had done this for seasons uncounted. The garden responded like it had been built for this, even though the Titans had never been built or placed here for that. The coral had made a cathedral from retirement. Nera's suit lights remained dead. She didn't try to reboot them. The garden's dim glow felt like permission and warning braided together. Then, through the coral-lit murk, she saw it. A thread of returning light. It fell from above at a shallow angle, thin and pale, splitting through the silt like a blade made of milk. It touched one Titan's skull plate and washed across the coral bridge in a faint shimmer. The first light of the season, reaching the garden. The Leviathan's song caught on it. The resonance sharpened, and for a moment Nera felt as if her entire suit was a tuning fork. The chord climbed just slightly in pitch, not louder but clearer, as if the light had given the sound an edge. Brian exhaled, awed. "Gloam is lifting," she whispered. "It hears it." A final skyfall pulse rolled down, the biggest yet, and the basin trembled hard enough that Nera's grip slipped a fraction. In the same instant, Tal's comms chirped. The wrong chirp, the one from before. Their own handshake protocol. 2 hours ahead. But this time it wasn't just a ping. It was a fragment of voice distorted by water and coral and translation. Nera heard herself. "The seed is out, we..." Then static. Then the garden's hum swallowed it. Tal made a strangled sound. "But we never got to the drift seed. It's speaking the future." Brian corrected him softly, almost kindly. "No, it's predicting what could have been." Nera shook her head and tightened her grip. Coral didn't have those kinds of complex thoughts, not until a shoaly wove it all together inside a Titan. Coral didn't predict the future. Everyone who said so was just superstitious. But the comms crackled again. She heard her own voice. "Overlapped. This is what it's always done. We just happened to see it." Her eyes snapped open. The light was brighter now, washing out the luminescence of the garden with honest sunshine moment by moment. She could see the bulk of the Leviathan on the cliff edge. Its shadow withdrew, slow and graceful, taking its resonance with it like a curtain closing. The coral bridges had dimmed in response, the hum softening into a resting tone. The silt began to settle. Nera's suit lights flickered back to life on their own, weak at first and then stable. Her orientation stabilised. Her breathing slowed. Tal spoke, voice small. "Are we allowed to keep working?" Brian didn't touch the arch this time. She only looked at it, and in the coral's faint pulse, Nera saw something she'd never admit to anyone who didn't tend coral. A suggestion of attention. "Not tonight," Brian said. Nera wanted to argue. The mission, the seed, the schedule. But the garden had turned its face towards them once already. That was enough. Nera resecured her tool pack without cutting anything. She didn't like leaving unfinished work, but leaving was a kind of respect. They backed away the way divers backed away from territorial animals. Slow, non-threatening, always giving space. As they retreated, Nera glanced once over her shoulder. The Titans stood as they always had, patient hulks in the dim water, except now she could see the arrangement properly and she couldn't unsee it. The coral bridges were quiet, but not inert. They were waiting. "The toy maker's image, what the hells was that?" Tal muttered as they swam away. "How did no one in the city clock a damn Leviathan slipping in?" "Tal," she said, quiet and hesitant of her own thoughts. "When was the last time a waxing gloam and skyfall overlapped? I think that's what it's always done. We just happen to see it." Her words fell off, and she stared sharply at the quiet coral under her fins. She could feel it. The reef was watching her back, and waiting. For the next skyfall, for the next lifting of gloam, for the next thing big enough to make the whole ocean listen. And somewhere deep in the garden's living lattice, their own voices were already being curated. Nera turned forwards again and followed her team out of the basin. Above, the sky was falling. Below, the garden was working on remembering it. And that was the end of what I wrote this week.
That is beautiful. I really, really liked the entire concept of this is how you see it. This is how a Leviathan would remember and arrange and not see the significance that the smaller things are giving it, and the smaller things are having a hard time comprehending the big things.
And I wanted to deliberately sort of leave some gaps in there, like how was the coral predicting what would be said later, or things that weren't said, and how did the Leviathan get there? And I also deliberately left out what species each of our three Shoali was in that. It looks like chat enjoyed that too. I am very glad. I am glad you enjoyed that, chat, and thank you for saying I'm a good reader. I personally despise my own voice, but I'm glad it works for the task at hand.
You're doing an excellent job. We think so, at least. You'll have to
Fluid's
survive
good.
with that. Fluid's good.
A lovely detail
Poster
that lets the
check.
reader self-insert. Yeah, or sort of project the things that you're interested on the characters, because the point of this story wasn't the individual characters, it was the sort of environment and what was going on around them. So I could get away with just being, you know, loose and vague about our individuals. Everyone hates their own voice. This is true, and none of us sound outside of our own heads the way we think we do inside our heads, but on a practicable level, of somebody who has spent some years teaching and doing various things, I personally think my voice is ill-suited for most things, and I dislike it on a technical level, not just on a, oh my god, I sound different inside my own head. But people tell me they like my voice, so it's fine. It's fine. We just get on with things.
Exactly. We wither about, we do things, and sometimes people, hello chat, are looking at it and saying, yes, please, more of that, thank you.
Yeah, and there's Corbin giving a reason why. One of the many things that makes me hate my own voice. One of the people I respect most in the world, despite the fact he possibly doesn't deserve it, found my accent hilarious the first time he heard it.
Well, there you have it.
But, you know, we can put what weight we want to behind that, considering the first time I heard Corbin's accent, knowing he's from Australia, and he did not have an appropriately Australian accent, and that was incorrect. And how dare you, sir?
Okay, so he gets 100 years war as well, or
I've been warring with Corbin for the entirety of our lives, near enough. It's kind of a defining impetus for me continuing to breathe every day.
Okay, I mean, spite is a motivation.
Spite is my ultimate motivation. Anything you see me do is done out of spite. At some point in the process, spite was heavily involved. Mostly I wrote this week because I was spiting the fact that I didn't get work on the things I wanted to this week. I had a schedule, and I'm going to do this on this day, and this on this day, and this on this day. Schedule went out the window 10 minutes into the start of the week, as plans often do. And so out of spite, I wrote 3,500 words, which seems perfectly reasonable.
Okay, I mean, sure. Yes, reason. That's the word we're using for it now. Yes, of course.
Yes.
This is why I'm drawing a tricorn with purple rims and a burnt brass feather to
Amazing.
coat my other hat.
Yes, you will have the greatest collection of hats.
Listen, at the end of this project, I will have so many hats on my hats. I will be able to make a boss bowl for an orc. This is what's going to happen. It'll going to look like I'm a Necron pretending to be an orc.
Ed is picking up on some Ed's picking up on some stuff from the story that didn't feel quite right, and I agree. This is my first pass. I haven't gone through and done a full edit on this story yet. This is reading it to you guys is the first time I've read it out loud, and there was a couple of times where I was like, I overused a word in this sentence and that needs fixing. So yes, that there are little things in there like that that will need to be picked up before this is a finished story. But I quite agree with the criticism, Ed, and pointing out things that could be improved is one of the best ways that any of us can get better, is by going, hey, I really love this thing you made. These are the things that stood out to me as bits that you could further improve, and you either use that as a stepping stone for the next thing or you go back and fix them, and it's a wonderful process.
Yes, it is.
Therese is saying, we may never have met if someone hadn't once told me I could not stand out as a mech artist. Whoever told you that, Therese, may they rue the day, because your work is incredible. Therese has also very recently been working on a mech in a style that would absolutely suit Shoal, and it looks so cool, and I just love all of the work Therese puts out. Therese is amazing.
I want to see it. 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 I want to see it.
I'm not going to show anything on stream without Therese's permission, but Therese is doing some very, very cool stuff. And
I assume Therese.
If you're not following Therese, I believe Therese is on Patreon. You should be. Therese is amazing. I wish I had like 1% of Therese's talent. Okay, Therese has posted it in the Orc, so we are free to share. Let me go and see. Would you be very kind, Therese, if you're in a position to do so, could you DM it to me, because it will make this super quick. It doesn't have to be the video, it can just be, you know, a still shot, whatever you want chat to say. Therese would do amazing work designing Shoal mechs. Therese's grasp of character design is phenomenal.
We need people who are talented and doing stuff.
Oh, we have so many talented people that are attached to the BPL and to the Orcs, and Shoal is just one example of what happens when you put all of those people together. It's great.
Yes, it is. It is kind of great.
It is. It is very, very, very good. All right, well, while Therese gets that to me, I'm going to step away for just a moment to use the restroom and have a drink after all that reading. So, Lictor, you're in charge for 2 minutes. I will be right back.
Dear God. Okay, Zork, I need 7 war crimes pronto while she's gone. Okay. Riot. Yes, riot. I want damage control done after the fact. I want the fact to be damagedly controlled. Controlulation, you're damaging. Damn it. Thank you, Zork. Get on that directly. I want these war crimes on my desk by Sunday. Yes, 7. I need to slip it under the radar. She can't know that I've ordered extra war crimes. That's the entire point. Let the crossbreeding of titans and calamacious monsters begin. How? Okay, Corbin, you have your own labs. I want a dissertation about how would you crossbreed. How would it happen that a Leviathan take on the Temp Squirrel? Are we talking like where there's a fuck, there's of course there is. I mean, what I'm thinking now is about the Fatalis thing from Monster Hunter, where Leviathan is wearing an absorbing Temp Squirrel of every titan that it eats, and it grows in more spite and more discordant with every titan that it devours. Is that what we're thinking about, or are we thinking about something slightly less friendly, as in actual metastasizing and gastating in the Temp Squirrel of dead titans? Is that what we're thinking about, Corbin? Is that it? Is that the sort of brain spike? Yes, sort of brain spike. What is a brain spike? Please, I need explanations. Don't just bring a peanut butter and the rabbit sea urchins.
Please, no one do math for Corbin, and don't let him anywhere near the Titans, for the love of God. Also, I'm back. Hi.
Hello. No, it's
Why
okay.
am I
We've
seeing the
discussed
words mind control harness? What did you do?
Nothing. Nothing. Don't mind Zork. It's absolutely tame, and no one's going to get hurt. I definitely did not think about the possible version of Fatalis in the Shoal universe. Absolutely,
Oh,
there's
Dad's in chat. I thought he'd buggered off on me decades ago. So about that back support.
back support.
Anyway,
And just
I can see you've all
why
been very
must you
sensible
damage-
while I was gone.
Why must I be damaged so?
Okay,
Well,
Teresa sent me. Let's pick what's going to work best.
yes, well,
Alright, let me save
yeah.
this. We'll start with this one and then.
Call me Mercury No Pants. I'm streaking here. Way to go, Mercury Alpha. Titan Leviathan symbiosis, where the Titan Leviathan was infected with coral, and the
Okay,
resultant
so we
creature
were
grew
looking at Graven Choir's butt. Let's shift
Yes.
this over now to
Yes.
this. This cool guy. Look at this cool guy.
Wow.
Isn't he awesome?
This is so fucking whoa.
I believe Cthulhu Tech was the inspiration for this. This is Teresa's work. Teresa's incredible work. I do have some other views of it. I'm going to see if I can grab the video, and we can do that. We can have a look at it.
I want the brain juices that allow you to make such things.
It is super cool.
It is so fucking good.
Okay.
Wow.
Media source. Let's see if we can get this up. Okay. It should be on my desktop. This one. Okay. I don't know if we've got any sound on this. Isn't he just the coolest thing?
Can we adopt it?
I think you have to ask Trace. It's not my choice.
Trace, can we adopt it? Can we adopt it? Please.
Apologies for the loud. Yes, this thing has a promo video. He wants to adopt it, Treese.
I want it as a pet. Please. I need it. I promise. I'll feed it so many horror stories.
This poor child needs a home. Well, I mean, Shoal would happily adopt this child.
This child shall have a home. I shall write its story. I shall write everything about it. I will make it a home. It will be just tell me what sort of a home does it want? Does it want to be a Zorkly thing, or are we like thinking more about this thing happened and then that city ceased to exist because tentacle things happened to various machines? No, I believe introspective can take this machine and give it the sort of life it needs to shine. God damn, this is so good.
He's so gorgeous. Such good design.
This
And the weight in it, the lean, the attitude. We can see where the gravity is. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
It looks like it's just going to fire up its thrusters and run at you at Mach speed and fuck you up.
Either that, or it's just going to slowly, inexorably hunt you down because you're just not worth running after.
This is the sort of, okay, if this is a massive thing, this is the sort of massive scale titan that goes up and literally plucks out the eye ganglia from a leviathan in a titanic, mind upon encounter somewhere near the Crimson Wall. This thing is it perches on some larger ship and drops on you from up above. This is rad. This is everything I wanted from a Titan.
It's just brilliantly designed. Corbin is saying he wants one. We can negotiate. You won't like the price because it'll involve you putting in effort. This is the Sholey equivalent of a Terminator.
This is yes. Hello, we want it.
I had a feeling you guys would love it when I saw Treese working on it. I was like, oh my god, it's so Sholey!
If Treese would allow, I will make a write-up for it for Shoal. That's my project. Goddamn.
Maybe DM Treese send him Dead Weight to have a read of, and you know, if you two end up working together and agreeing on some things and some stuff comes of it, that'll be amazing. If not, that's fine too. This is still a cool thing.
Okay, Treese, I need to find you on Discord.
You can find Treese through the Orcs. Treese is also in the Orcs with the rest of us Orc souls, which is wonderful.
I know the Orcs.
So I have a fun thing going on at the minute. I normally have on my Discord, I have the BPL tag next to my name. And at the moment, I have the Orcs tag because it was decreed that so long as I hold the Orcs belt in WBPLW on Sunday nights, I have to have the Orcs tag. until one of you beans takes it off of me. We do have some fun on Sunday nights with fake wrestling, and it's just the best thing. You wouldn't think letting AI play a video game against itself could turn into just one of the most popular streams on this channel, but here we are.
Treese has been punched with a DM.
Fabulous.
They will not escape.
Alrighty, let me turn this off, and we will figure out what we are going to do with the rest of our time here, because we have about an hour and a half, so we could do some work. We could do some stupid things. There was a threat I made earlier in the week, and by threat I mean people asked. If you want to at some point today, we can also play some Uma Musume. I do have it installed on the computer and have the capacity to honse if we decide that we want to honse.
If you wish to honse, I am not against, but I do think that at some point we will need to do more glossary. I know.
Yes, we should at least do some work before we honse. But honsing is an option today. It's on the table. We can honse if we want to. We can leave our friends behind. Oh, Treese is doing a special Black Knight. Colour me intrigued. I look forward to seeing what comes out.
I am in awe.
We know some talented people, don't we? It's kind of cool.
Yes,
kind of cool.
it's terrifying. In a good way, but it's terrifying.
Alrighty, let's click over to our glossary. There is the nice, neat stuff that we figured out last week. And now on the right side, we have the absolute mess that we were working our way through. And getting there slowly but surely. Alright, so I think what we need to do is carry on lifting terms over from here. I'm not going to worry about Catabatic and Cataquatic for now. The Takrath Skerries is a place that doesn't need to be detailed at the moment. Calm windows. What will this count as? So the sections that we ended up with in the end, and there's still some things we didn't determine from last week. Okay, so we thought we might need some cities and places, explanations. We've got cultures and organizations, we've got species, we've got stellar objects, Titan terminology, in-universe terminology, and external terminology. Will we perhaps need a section purely for coral terminology? I feel like we will. So let's put that in for now. Coral terminology. Alrighty, let's lift more things out. So a calm window is going to be in universe. We'll put sky iron in here as well, which is what comes from Skyfall season. Alright, let's go through and see what we haven't defined so far. Define those and then move on. I think that will work. So we're deliberately leaving the Auxolotls and the Kartakans alone for the moment because we haven't fully fleshed those out, but that's where we'll sort of have a brief, hey, this is the culture that lives in this area and are most known for this. This is the culture that lives in this area and are most known for that. But we don't have those defined as yet. We just know that they're going to end up in the setting at some point. So we're not worried about that. Same for the sly worms. What else has not yet been defined? Okay, the first big thing that hasn't been defined looks to be some of our Titan terminology. Yeah, so let's start there. How do we want to define what awakening means? Any suggestions from chat on how you want to lay that out?
Yes, chat. Give ideas.
We won't have enough time for an hour of honse if we do an hour of glossary. We now only have until 2:30 my time, 5:30 Eastern time, because the schedule has changed and we are no longer followed by Striker on Fridays. We are followed by BB, and she comes on half an hour earlier. So we're a little bit shorter on time, but I don't think that's a problem.
No, we're doing fine.
Yeah. But we can do some honse in the last half hour if we want to. We'll go to the top of the hour and then we can talk about honses if that's what you guys would like to do.
The misery of obligation.
Indeed. Okay, so awakening.
Okay, so awakening is the...
can be either non-sapient machines or have artificially created sapients born of a coral network built by Sholey. Sapient titans are known as awakened titans, and
these paragons.
Awakened titans or paragons. Awakening is the moment when a new personality is born and gains sapience. Okay, and this means that we do in fact need to include the word paragon, so let's put that in. Paragon.
I will point out that I don't know if it's supposed to be in a glossary. The way I described it in that way that I think is useful to think about it is that a titan is always existing, but their existence has no sense of causality and singularity. They don't think of them. They do not think in a... Awakening is the point where a titan is capable of meaningfully communicate and relate to a, first and foremost, a pilot.
It's really the difference between the word sentient and the word sapient. Many things can be sentient, but only a few things gain true sapience. So maybe I put in here, titans can either be non-sapient sentient machines or have artificially created sapience.
Or the thing is, the artificially created assumes that there is some sort of a specific process
That's
that
true.
you can force a
I think in
Thames
some
squirrel
cases
to
it
go
can
for.
be forced. You know, if you do a certain build, it will awaken. In others, it might be slower, and it's that time period. Because I think it would be sort of a deliberate thing to be like, yes, we want this thing to have a personality and wake up. Versus this machine isn't designed for that, but it has the capacity over time that it might.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'm not arguing against the wood. In
Yeah.
my brain, Titans gain. The more time a Titan is a Titan, and the more pilots they have, the more likely they become a Paragon eventually.
Yeah.
Some Titans are built or gestated. Perhaps that's a term that we might need, a gestated um, or some sort of a word for a Titan that is built and assumed and essentially
Mm-hmm.
forced into awakening. Forced. Do you force a baby to be born? I mean, what's the word for forcing a baby to be born? They are essentially forcing a certain creation.
I have to think about
They
what
are.
words are going to work for that. That my brain is failing to settle on the right kinds. I know exactly what you mean, but my brain is failing to land on good words for what you mean. Let's see if chat's saying anything and being immeasurably smarter than I am. Tachyon best honse. Yeah, see, chat's smarter than I am. Tachyon is a
Hmm,
very good honse. Though today I have been learning the full story of TM Opera O, and also great honse. Generation preceding Agnes Tachyon. Awakened Titans are treated like fully integrated members of Charlotte Society. Yeah, I mean, Titans are just generally sort of honoured as important things regardless. And if they're awakened, if they're a paragon, then yeah, they're people. They're their own people.
okay.
Eric has a
We can.
suggestion. You know how ceratinoids aren't sentient from hatching and only acquire it, I think you mean sapient, and only acquire it later in life at their first molt? Yeah. What if the chemical that gives ceratinoids sapience also awakens the Titans? That puts a very large pressure on, okay, well, we need this certain thing that comes only from the crab people to allow this to happen. And I don't know if we want to go down that route, or if perhaps some learning from that process was used to create something that is used in deliberate Titan awakening. Um,
I think that this is a point where I will say the Salacians are probably the people who will take the gestation processes and modulate it and do the synthesis of the catalyst.
Let me make some notes. I
There,
think we could do something really interesting with this. Where would be the best place for me to put these notes? You know what? I'm just going to put it at the top, right underneath our opening card. Notes to find a home for. Okay, Titan Awakening. Ceratinoids do not gain sapience until first molt, which will come with various chemical changes in the body. Salacians in conjunction with scientists from all shoaly species have studied this process and refined it down into a parallel process that can be used with new built Titans to ensure awakening at the moment the coral networks are fully installed in, no, that's on, in other Titans, while this chemical advanced awakening might not be present. a life long lived with a partner. Pilots, psionically linked, can allow any Titan with a coral network broad enough to support it to awaken naturally as part of their normal cycle. These two types of Titan paragon are described thus. Paragon awakened at creation by the chemical process. Porn paragon awakened.
Either quickening or induction would be good word. Quickening is actually a nice word for it.
Or quickened paragon, okay? Awakened naturally by time and
A quickened is one that is a quickened is one that awakes naturally, while an inducted paragon is one that is awakened via.
While I know why you're pulling those words from where you're pulling them from, I wonder how many people from outside who haven't sort of, helped create this will get confused by that, thinking, well, quickening, that means faster, surely that's the ones that are created. I just wonder if that will, if it will lead to some natural confusion.
You're not wrong. My brain is... I went to the biomedical sciences.
As I say, I understand exactly why you're pulling the words that you're pulling. I'm just also aware of audiences and the common denominator.
Yes. No, I am sorry. My brain is...
No,
where
something
it is.
to be sorry for.
Yes. How about... how about induction as the word for mechanical and or the more artificial manner by which a Titan can be seated for an active shroud?
So an induced paragon, so very deliberately inducted, induced, etc. So
Yes.
Induced paragon for the ones that are awakened at creation. And then what do we want for our ones that slowly and naturally wake up over time and psionic exposure?
That is a good question. Wilf, you're a massive nerd. Yes, you have 2 nerd points more than I do. There you go.
Yes,
Get your nerd points.
It's a very good word to use. I know exactly why that got pulled. I just don't trust the general IQ of the average human population. Are we likely to pull in a slightly higher IQ audience? Quite probably. This is a very nerdy community. But yes, my faith in humanity is low.
Okay, let me give you 2 different 2-word terms.
Yeah, go for yours. What are yours?
Cognitive seeding versus cognitive permutation. As in, the cognition is either seeded or inducted, or cognitive permutation or cognitive.
I have a short, simple word that might do the job for us.
Please give.
What if we had induced paragons, they're the ones that are created, and heir paragons, as in heir to the throne?
Perfect. Yeah, no, yes. Hereditary.
With the intention that, you have to sort of grow into the position. You are anticipated for great things, but you have to get there. You don't just get given it the moment that you're born.
Archon, the quickening is a descriptive for what enzymes do.
Lord Trower has redeemed a water break. we will have a water break.
Yes.
Gothdrop
The
is very
idea.
kindly saying, as a professional dumbass, I thought quickening was the built one. Yeah, I can just see the sort of average person who hasn't touched this setting and doesn't know it, seeing that word and just making an assumption based on common use of the words
Yes,
today. And
quickening.
I've been very mean to humanity as a whole, but that's not actually unreasonable to expect people to default to common
Yes,
parlance.
it's like induction is also the process where you force childbirth to come quicker.
Yes. You
When
reduce labour.
labor,
Yep.
exactly, you induce labor, and this is what the word I had in mind because so is
Baby,
labor.
you are late. You will be born now.
Exactly. Quickening is a term that I know of regarding the what enzymes and other naturally existing materials do to make biological processes happen in a reasonable time span. Most biological things would happen without enzymes over time. It's just that enzymes make them happen fast enough for biology to exist.
Gothdrop says induction just makes me think of angry pixies, and I'm going to ask no further questions and just be amused by that. Oh my god! Verathragna says, are you suggesting Titans are awakened through C section? You're gonna get sectioned at this rate. Get out! Leave! Go!
I've opened a C-section. You may leave through that hatch. Go
God
away.
damn it. So, in the same way that I have known Corbin for many, many years, Will Desir I have known for many, many years, Verathragna I have known for many, many, many years, and yeah, he also hasn't gotten any better since we first met.
At this point, we must
Boo
ask.
that man! Boo that man! Boo!
At that point, Red, I have to ask: is it your taste in people, or are you just a magnet?
It's clearly the latter, and nothing is ever my fault, and it's definitely Chat's fault.
Okay, I'll take it. You're a chat. You're at fault.
That is, this is the agreement. This is the contract. I do a ridiculous amount of very stupid things because of Chat, and Chat gets blamed for it.
I'm not opposed. I'm just letting chat know so they may take the proper position for supplicants.
Yes, Night Owl is the paragon of this habit. Blaming Chat is what you do. Right.
I'm hardly arguing.
We have
Yes.
done a tiny bit of work. Let's try and do a tiny bit more. I believe in us. We can do it. Okay.
Yes.
So awakening, we are now satisfied with. Okay, we were doing Paragon. So a Titan that is awakened and has its own true sapience. Paragons come in two types.
They have flavors, you see.
Juiced paragons that were awakened at creation, and air paragons that rose to full sapience over time. There we go, nice and simple. Alright, Forge Wars is an easy one. Forge Wars, a period of extreme turmoil across Shoal. The first true world war that occurred and caused the birth of Titans. It was also the period of change which allowed Shoal to eventually unify into the state it is found today. Simple. Forge Wars is a time period that's just very significant historically. Okay, how do we want to define the word concordance? Somebody be intelligent. I refuse to be.
I see. It's the intrinsic link between Titan and Pilot can be measured by the word concordance. It is the level of synchronization between their shrouds and the speed and clarity by which they communicate through their shrouds.
Okay, so a term describing the strength, synchronization, and compatibility of a Titan's psionic shroud with that of a pilot. Boom, beautiful. Okay, Mermeca we already did. Paragon we've done. Pilot, how do we want to define the word pilot in terms of Titan terminology?
A singular sapient piloting, a singular sapient issuing direct commands to a Titan from a Titan cradle or pilot seat.
Okay, pilot.
If this is too technical or not informative enough, chat, help us out.
Singular, psionically active, surely who controls and pilots a Titan. Usually.
I think that to avoid using the word pilot in the definition of pilot, let's use the word direct.
Yep, that's a good idea. Controls and directs a Titan, usually from a command. What do we want to call it? What did you just call it?
I like to call it cradle.
Command cradle? That's a really good idea. From a command cradle that links them directly
through concordance.
Machine. The strength of the connection. Do we want to bring that in there, or do we just want to keep this real simple? So, controls and directs time, usually from a command cradle links direct to the machine. They will have a psionic bond with the machine in question. Its strength with the machine in question, and are usually chosen for their level of concordance with a given Titan. There we go. That should work. And then if people need to know what concordance means, they can look it up because it's in this section. All right, how do we want to define the word resonance? Command crash. I just worry about the word crash because that tends to mean, like, you know, a group of kids. And again, I know where it's coming from. I just worry about what people's initial thought will be. Cradle is a pretty good word. The highest level of concordance is referred to as being shoalmates. I'm gonna kill him.
Yes, there will be certain damage incurred. Certain damage.
Was up went and got the guns. Thank you, was up. You know where to aim them. What are you thinking for a resonance, Lictor?
Resonance is used for a great many things, Michelle. I think resonance is the measure by which shrouds sync. It's a generalized word. It's like, this is how much information you can put from one shroud to another is the technical term of what resonance is.
Okay, I suppose I need to ask a slightly more complex question. How do we define resonance that isn't just a copy-paste of concordance?
Concordance is the singular, is a particular demonstration of resonance. Concordance is vastly more intimate and informative. Resonance
Okay.
usually defines every instance of shrouds touching. You moved through a street, your shroud touched everybody on that street. You had some level of resonance. That place had a resonance. You can't have concordance with a place. You can't have a concordance with someone you met on the street. You can't have concordance with your loved one. You have concordance only in the specific predetermined situation when you're sitting in your cradle, in your pilot's cradle, and it's a concordance. Okay, I have it. Concordance explains when shrouds overlap to the point of synchronicity.
That's a good way of putting it.
Okay, it's the point where it's when Shinji sits in the mech in Evangelion and they become one. This is concordance. Every other interaction, the measurement of slight interactions, because to surely they need that level of understanding because this is how they communicate. It's like us having the word for cadence of words.
So I'm going to write the unique individual tone of a person's shroud and how it harmonizes with those of others around them. And I'm going to take from Archon Erica some good suggestions here. Similar to a fingerprint or voice, but also carrying some degree of one's nature.
Gothrop, yeah, you're not wrong.
Let's see what's being said. Why would that apply only to Titans? Well, what do you mean, concordance? Because of the very unique way of plugging directly into an artificial machine. You can't really do that, because remember, psionics do not allow for true mind reading, true telepathy, etc. And Gothrop is thinking about Farscape. Yes, we have borrowed some similar ideas to other settings, because good ideas are good ideas.
Good ideas are good ideas, and we don't have to
exploring them in a
the
unique way
entirety.
is always fun.
We're not here to picture ourselves as though we're coming with everything unique. We are here to tell a story in our own unique way. Archon, did that explanation got to you? Is that okay?
Calm period, a safe period in which crews may work on an active or dangerous reef between defensive song pulses. Because some reefs do fight back. That's nice and easy. Sky iron, let's define that. It's also going to be nice and easy. A term used to describe specifically or gathered from meteors that fall to shoal during its skyfall season. Nice and easy. Okay, that's that one.
Poor Archon. He missed my entire explanation.
Oh no!
Oh well. Quick,
Sometimes technology do be like that.
Yep.
All right.
Reef continent. Reef continent is a continent. Is a
Oh yes, we haven't done this one. Reef continent. A word describing um, um, an entire uninterrupted reef system that is the equivalent. A word describing an entire uninterrupted reef system that sits upon a single tectonic plate on shoal's surface. Because some reefs are just that big.
Okay. I'm just wondering. Okay, no, yes, absolutely. I understand now. Okay. The word biome wanted to squirm into my head here, and I had to realize why it wasn't correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not. Okay, great.
All right, we were going to have some coral terms. I think we need to put in some very quick and brief coral terms up here because we know what our different coral types are. So let's go and lift from that and put those in. Boop.
Yeah, parry. We have here parry coral, bronze coral,
Okay.
ponds coral.
Parry coral. That's not in the right thing, but that's okay. We'll fix it in a minute. Ponds. That's in the wrong place. Why can I not type today? Why am I just being hopeless? Okay, ponds coral.
You've been reading. You've been doing things.
I've been using my brain mates, which probably should be illegal.
Bronze. There should be, of course, the temps, and which one's the other one?
Making sure I grab them all.
There should be one more.
No, I think there's only the 4 types.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I keep.
We
thinking
think in
there's
5s because so many things on Shoal are in 5s. We have 5 months in a year, 5 close years in a grand year, etc., etc. A lot of things are split into 5s, but we only have the 4 types of coral. And of course, the 5th type of coral is inert, normal coral.
Yes, the one without an age.
Yeah.
Is that the coral everybody keeps calling Carl? Carl. Why don't you sing, Carl?
I assume you know the story of Carl in terms of Vampire the Masquerade, Clan Carl.
No.
So this is to do with the live action role playing, the Mind's Eye Theatre group, but a lot of people for some reason have difficulty pronouncing the word Zamichi, or how Zamitsi should be pronounced, because Zamisi is, you know, a complicated word and people have opinions on it. And one play group just got so fed up with trying to pronounce this complicated word that they just substituted in Carl, and so it became Clan Carl. Well, they ended up with at least the character, the person who first was like, I can't, it's Carl now. I'm just Carl. That's what I'm using. It's Carl. That person ended up at one of the big meetup events with like the top people in the live action role playing setting that was ongoing. You know, there's a global list kept. This guy, he ran into one of the extreme elders of Clan Zamisi. And he just walked up to this guy who's playing a much, you know, much higher generation character, much younger character. He just walks up and goes, "So you're the reason people keep calling me Carl?"
Yes.
Player proceeds to shit pan, as is appropriate.
Yes. I like everything about this story. This person should be getting a reward. An award.
It is quite something when you have, you know, a Methuselah of the clan that you've just reduced to a very common name, just walking up to you and going, "So you're the reason." No, not me. Look at somebody else, please. Textbook Malk shenanigans. Yeah.
It's you. It's you. We know. Proceeds to shoot pants. Pants shed aggressively.
Okay, so ponds coral. Coral that is very attuned to movement and kinetics, often used in mechanical operations. Yeah, just keep it real simple. This is a glossary. The full descriptions are right here. People will be able to scroll up to them. Okay, bronze coral. Coral that is very attuned to emotions, memory, and pattern recognition.
I shall now do something. One moment. Hey, Ed.
Yes.
Observulate.
What am I observulating? What are you sending me?
Wait, no, that's not the one. Not the one. There we go. Great. Amazing. Because Chat has been good boys. Nothing
Chat has
but
been good boys. Are you sure? I'm fairly certain Chat doesn't know how to be good boys.
That's
Oh
true.
my goodness. I was expecting you to sort of do the tricorn as the middle. Okay, let me save this. Hang on. Save image. Let's put this in the right place so it can start doing its job immediately. I've just got to remember where that needs to be. Assume it's going to be on my creating hard drive. Where do I have you hiding? Do I have you hiding in Shoal or do I have you in a different folder entirely? Let's have a look.
I do not believe Chat. Chat lies. Only I speak the truth.
Now, if I've done this right, this should now just update without me having to do anything
Yes.
else.
It did. It did. I can see
Hooray! And let's make it a bit bigger for a minute so everybody can see. Let's make huge Lictor. There we go.
it. Yes.
Lictor
Yes.
now has a tricorn. He has a hat for his hat for his hat.
I am now a Code Vein 2 character.
You didn't mount it to your eyeball, though.
I thought about it.
Hat free, yes.
Hat cubed.
All
We
right.
dig giant robots. Yes, we
Let's
do.
bring
We
it-
do
bring
dig
it
giant robots. And I am now the tri-hat.
You are indeed a tri-hat. I'm very impressed.
I am both rich and Dutch.
Is it to appear taller? Certainly. Absolutely.
Yes, of course. I can absolutely not construct longer legs for my mech existence. I'm like Data. The length of my legs is absolutely constant. 78.6 centimeters long. I think that was for some reason that specific measurement has stuck in my brain. Anyway, I think now is time to leave, unless you have specific ideas. Do you want to finish with a coral and then move to honse, or do you want to?
That will be
take a
Chat's
break?
choice. Let me do a poll to see if Chat even wants honse at all, because I know some people are like, hell yeah, honse, and some people are like, oh god, no honse, no honse. Should we honse? We will finish the corals,
Yes.
the 4 coral
Yes.
types first. Yes.
Yes.
Gods no. All right, 2 minutes, go. You guys can decide while I finish this up. All right, parry
Yes, see.
corals. Coral that is very attuned to.
Gothrop, having this as a third option is redundant.
Alright, what do we else remember this? Awareness, perception, and reaction. used in, and what do we write about parry? Often used in translation circuits, dampening fields, and emotive regulation. Okay, and then Temps Coral is our memory coral. It's very attuned to memory, recall, and legacy. Often used in storage mediums and forming lasting recall centers in Titans. The backbone of Shoal's library, banking, industry, and cultural legacies. There we go, that's done. Right, then we're going to bold these so we can see them easily. And this will all get added into the glossary before next week, because we do some work around here, I swear. Oh my god, chat. 50-50.
Does that mean I have to choose?
Yes. Somebody has to
Okay.
choose.
Okay.
Trees, did you throw these? Did you throw the vote into a tie, Trees? Was that you? Oh, it was Goth Drop. Thank you, Goth Drop.
Okay.
Archon Erica is waiting for a to honse or not to honse poll where the choices are yes, definitely, and absolutely.
Bully Snake says flip a coin, do all what you want, it's your stream. Well, it's Lady Red's stream and I'm just here to make things complicated.
You make this
However,
stream
I
flow so
have-
much better. Honse or ain't.
I have never seen a Hon's game.
You've not seen the Honse game?
No.
I think
and
that's probably
thus,
going to settle it for us. You should see the Honse.
I think that since Lady Red has taken upon herself to introduce me to horse, I have been bereft of the entirety of my life, such as good movies and fun company. We shall suffer
Alright.
together.
Well, then what I will need to do is I will need to add in the game. So let me do that. Game capture. This is the first time I've done this, so this will be fun. Okay. I'm going to want you to capture a specific window. And it's going to be Uma Musume. There we go. Yeah, I want it to capture the audio. We don't need transparency.
No,
This should
we
all be
like our
fine.
corruption.
We'll just see if this works or not. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to make sure before I put this up where you guys can see it. Is it going to give me the option to play with the sound before? Can I fiddle with that, or do I just have to inflict it on you guys and figure out the sound from there?
Infliction.
Infliction will have to happen, yes. Right, this should be where I want it. It's not going to let me play with things. Alright, let's turn background music off. We'll turn this on, and then we'll turn it the fuck down! Okay, there we go. Right, chat will now let me know if this is too loud or not, or if it's even showing. Let's see. It does not seem to be showing for you guys at the minute, which is interesting, because I have told it to do so, so why are we not doing the thing?
Clearly for reasons of great hatred.
Yeah, I've told it capture this. Capture this.
Yeah, capture.
We might not be able to do this because I am not sure why this isn't working. should be.
Indeed it should. Its servile situation is required by the powers of chat and beyond. Its disobedience
How bizarre.
is...
All right, we'll try this in a different way before I give up.
That is fair.
And if we have to give up, we'll give up and we'll do something else. And that's fine.
Yeah, we have
Let
plenty
me
to do.
just do straight window capture. And see if this will work.
Have you tried to shut it off and turning it on again? Is being asked by Trees.
Why are we being weird about this?
Firstly, because they can.
It just wants to be recursive on me if I do this for some bizarre reason. This is very strange.
That does sound like a reason to perform a ritualistic beating.
Because I absolutely do not want to do screen capture. Why are you telling me that's already in use? We have nothing listed under that name. What is wrong with you?
Oh, wow. I didn't know we started the conversation now, and we are going, but this is going to, there's a lot of trauma to unpack. I mean, the world has been kind of weird lately, and the universe. Oh, right, the computer. Yes. I'm sorry.
Alright, we'll give this one more try, and if it doesn't work, we will just deal with that in the moment, I think.
Do more comment. We will do more.
Yep, no, it's not going to work. Okay, I'll have to brainstorm how the hell to get that to do what we want it to do. So we will not be doing that today. You
No
lucked out,
haunting.
chat. No hansing.
Grimos is saved.
I did indeed check capture audio, and it was not behaving itself.
It is being maximally abusive.
It's being terrible to me. I will just have to
Yes.
play with that off stream, and we'll figure it out. Your assistance would be lovely, Night Owl. I will tinker with it off stream. If I can't get anywhere, I will hit you up for assistance and see if I can figure out why it is misbehaving. One strongly suspects it's because of the nature of the game. It is a mobile game ported over to Steam, and they ported it over really well, and the sound quality on Steam for the game is fantastic. Genuinely fantastic and enjoyable, and I do enjoy playing it on PC, though I don't touch it on PC very often because I don't have my two accounts linked, and I've spent more than $1 on the game on my phone, so you know, it is what it is. You need to know the correct combination of cuss words and pleading. Yes, yeah. I mean, if you guys are really unlucky, I will play you the Pretty Derby advert that Parallax made that I absolutely had no part in, and have loaded into my stream buffer at the minute. It's right there. I could inflict that on you all.
Yes, the threat is real. The finger is on the button. So, like, don't give them reason.
Don't give me an excuse. I will inflict horses on you.
Yes, there will be hell's horses.
Yes, hell's horses
Right
to
or
pay. Play the Honse advert. Oh, I don't know. That might upset people. We might just suddenly drop many, many people on this stream. Though, admittedly, the first time we played it, we gained people, which was very confusing.
You know, the universe is a strange place, and frankly, are we actually that disturbed about the concept of, I mean, you let me read an hour and a half of self-made story, and somehow people survived that.
They did, and they enjoyed it. And then we did that today with my nonsense as well, and we've read other people's nonsense. It's a great time.
Yeah, it's very
Goththrop says the threat is real, but you threaten those who eat suffering. Yeah, you're a weird lot. Why are you here? I love you all. Very appreciative of you, chat. All right,
Yes, we need someone
okay,
to
we
blame.
won't play honses, but I would like to sort of talk very seriously about the honse game for a minute. Not because I'm trying to sell it to anybody, but because I think there is something that we could take away from how successful it is and why it's successful. I totally get people who do not like the honse game because it's pretty anime girls and why have you done this? And for some people, anime isn't their thing. For some people, the pretty idol culture isn't their thing. For some people, the J-pop elements aren't their thing. For some people, they just don't enjoy horse racing and that's not their thing. And if you pour all these elements together, it can, really make it not your thing, and that's fine. But there are some really good reasons why the honse girl game has done so well. Why people are so passionate about it. And it comes down to some very basic things that we've tried to apply to our writing with Shoal and everything else that we've done. Cygames, the company behind Uma Musume. Oh, hello, Mr. J Gamer. Welcome in. I hope you are well. We have been doing some absolute nonsense with our setting that we've been building over here. And we're actually just about to start doing a rant at the end, talking about Uma Musume. Oh, you were playing Valheim? I love Valheim. It is one of my favourite games. Please do not ask me how many hours I have in it. I have a life, I swear. Yes, I have touched real grass once in my life, I promise. How was your time with Valheim? What have you been up to? What were you doing in it? Absolutely one of my favourite games. We're about to talk about Uma Musume and storytelling and how Uma Musume leveraged really good fundamentals of storytelling to turn horse racing into a stupidly popular gacha game. Cygames, the people behind Uma Musume, have a team on board who understand the drama of horse racing and how to translate it to a audience outside of Japan, outside of just the racetrack, and leverage that good storytelling into a compelling product. If it's not your thing, completely fine. Totally get it. However, they have done some things really, really well. The first thing they did was look at horse racing from a narrative perspective, because there was going to be the anime, there was going to be this game, which the original concept for the game was very simple. Cygames had made an idol master game before that, where you were raising traditional sort of Japanese idol culture. You were raising girls to sing and perform on stage and sort of, get them the best outfits and the best training and etc. And you see this sort of gameplay turn up in other games as well. I mean, the Yakuza series has a very hilarious series of nonsense to go along with that, and that was sort of their first game, and they wanted to take the mechanics from that, which people really enjoyed, and bring it over to a new game. I don't know if they specifically did Idol Master, but I know that the games that they did before were in that style. I don't know whether it was specifically Idol Master or not. I admittedly haven't dug into Cygames that much. I just know that they started with a game in that style. It could have been the actual series. But they wanted to bring popular mechanics over into a new game, but for it to sort of sell and do well and have a tie-in anime, it needs to have a story behind it. It can't just be this sort of flash-in-the-pan thing if you want it to have longevity. And, of course, that's where storytelling comes in. It's where longevity for nearly everything in our lives comes in. Something has to have meaning behind it. And when they looked at horse racing and decided that's what they were going to do, they took the drama of the racetrack and translated it into narrative story. And one of the things they did was break down the sort of eras of horse racing. So you had these periods where you had like these certain horses that were dominating in the 80s, and then these horses were dominating in the 90s. These horses were dominating as we came to the turn of the century, and then the next group that came after that and after that, because like all sports celebrities, you have a prime season when you're in the prime of your life, and then age starts to catch up with you, especially if you've been doing something very physical. This is why a lot of athletes, especially people who are in things like the Olympics or any kind of massive championship, tend to be on that younger side because age hits us all. And that's the same in horse racing, and it's why you see these sorts of periods of this set of horse horses was racing, but then they were superseded by this set of horses, and you see the younger generation overtaking the older generation because the older generation is aging out, and it allows these new young horses who have only just started getting their feet behind them to win races that you would have once expected the older horses to win. And so you get this sort of cycle of inheritance, of passing on the drama of the racetrack to the next generation. And that's a human story right there. For all, we're seeing it with horses on the racetrack. It's this passing of the torch of these are the accomplishments of this generation, and now we're seeing the next generation pick up the torch, and you cycle on.
Isn't that the story of the Cars movie series?
I've only
passing
ever
of the
seen
torch.
the first Cars movie, so I can't comment personally on that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
So the third story, the third Cars story is just that. It's the passing of the torch.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
The
yes, because you
entire-
have the older. Yes, you are quite right in that, and of course you have McQueen having his sort of coming to Jesus moment of realizing how to be a good person and how that benefits him, etc., etc. All great lessons to impart on to kids. Ty German says they already knew how the gameplay loops were supposed to be. Yes, they did. They had a very good idea of what their gameplay loops should look like, the sorts of mechanics they wanted to build on things. Uma Musume didn't come out of nowhere. It's one of the reasons why I consider it to be a good gacha game. In general, I don't like the gacha style. I feel it is exploitative. It's very, very good at gachas as a whole are very good at taking a lot of money for you for very little gameplay return compared to the normal video games industry. But one of the reasons why I like Uma Musume is even if you never put a penny into it, it still has a compelling enough gameplay loop for the job that it's supposed to be doing. You are not supposed to sit down and marathon 50 hours of Uma Musume back to back like you will with some games. You're supposed to play, 1 or 2 career playthroughs a day while you're traveling, on transit to somewhere else. And there's a reason why the career path of any individual horse that you decide to follow through the career path, there's a reason why it's about the length of the average metro journey in Japan. If you're on the tube, the train, whatever you want to call it. It's very much done on purpose. It's supposed to be something you play in idle time to keep you engaged enough, but not to be too over the top, and then you put it down and you come back to it. And in terms of that, its gameplay loop for what it has without putting a single penny into it, it's good. It is very, very good. There's some genuine thought that's gone behind it. If you decide to buy in, it's extortionate. To make sure you get the top levels of certain cards that you might want, the amount of money that you have to spend to make sure you get everything you need is extortionate, and I will never put that level of money into it. But I can still play the game without doing so, so in that regard, fine. But the narrative, I think, is what really holds people to this game. They made a good anime where they explored. It's got some anime tropes I don't like in it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you this is the world's best anime, everybody should watch it. It isn't. But they made a competent anime, and the focus of it was, we are going to start with this class of horses from this time period, and we're going to follow their stories and struggles, and then we're going to let the next generation take over, and the next generation take over, and the next generation take over, as you go. This becomes particularly compelling. I mean, today, like I said, I was reading up about TM Opera, one of the horses, today before stream, because I had like 20 minutes and it wasn't worth starting an art project because I can't do much in 20 minutes. And it wasn't worth, I had this sort of blank space. So I decided, I'd look up on this horse that I've recently got. I didn't have TM Opera until this week. And I know Fuzzy very much likes her. So I wanted to know the real horse's history. So I went and found out, and all it was somebody telling the story of the real horse and his jockey, and it was as compelling as a story you might tell about a human sportsman, trying to get to the peak of their game. So for TM Opera, he was known as the overlord of the, turn of the century overlord in horse racing circles. And the reason for this was the time period that he was running in was leading up to, 2000s. And he started out as... he has the weirdest origin story. He didn't have the world's greatest lineage in terms of his parents. It wasn't a bad lineage, but he wasn't like the first person people were going to be leaping out to buy as a colt to be a racing horse. He was just, not considered that special. And he ended up being bought by a gentleman at auction because there wasn't really any bidding for him. This gentleman bought him because he wanted to have a horse to race. And the reason why he wanted this was because when he was growing up, he had a friend in school. As he continued his education, his friend dropped out extremely early to go and join the workforce. The reason for this was the friend's father had passed away and his family was having some hard times. So he went very early into the workforce, and this friend, while he was working to support his family, had a dream. He saw horse racing and he wanted to become a jockey, but he didn't have any of the connections or background or industry people behind him to get in there the way that jockeys normally do. He had to get there the hard way. He had to study, he had to go out and deliberately make connections, and it took him a long time. And he did this alongside supporting his family until, everything was fine, his siblings had all completed school, etc. And he finally made it. He became a jockey. And his friend saw him on TV, immediately recognized that was his friend, was so impressed by it, he wanted to buy a horse to race, and if he could, get his friend to, be part of this. And this was how they reconnected 2 decades after they'd last seen each other. His friend at that point was no longer riding, he was no longer a jockey, he'd become a trainer, and he became the trainer of this horse, TM Opera O. And they brought on board a third human member of this 4-person team that would go on to change history. They brought on board a young jockey who had just completed, effectively, jockey school. So they've got a rookie jockey, they've got a trainer who became a jockey through very hard work and had to get there the hard way, so he really understood the industry from the outsider's perspective. And you've got a guy who owns a horse who only owns a horse because he thought it would be a cool thing to do and he wanted to do this thing to reconnect with his friend, not because he's part of the major horse racing circuit. And they're going to try and, race and have a good time and maybe just make some sort of effectively pocket change was the original goal. Maybe he'll make a little bit of prize money, but they weren't aiming for anything big. How wrong they were. TM Opera O's initial career was nothing stellar. It took him a couple of tries to win his debut and then start being able to enter other races. And they were sort of almost racing to have fun in a certain degree. Wasn't Goldship also 3 or 4 hands taller than most racehorses? Goldship was a pretty big horse. Goldship was also lazy and just refused to try and ran faster after he retired than he ever did on the track. Goldship is a goblin horse, like all grey horses, and just wonderful. So TM Opera O didn't have the best start to their career. They weren't really doing anything particularly special. However, people noticed that this was a strong horse. And some of his initial losses as he sort of started into his second year came not from the horse, but from the jockey. So he's got a very young jockey on his back who doesn't have the experience of, older jockeys. He hasn't been through as many races, especially not the more prestigious races that they started pushing TM Opera O towards, because he turned out to be a good horse. He was recommended by other people who saw him, other trainers who were like, this is a Triple Crown level horse. This is a powerful horse. Have you entered him into the Satsuki Show, which is a big race, and it's the first of these sort of crown races Japan has. There's these 3 set races that if you win them back to back, you get the Triple Crown, and that's, a very prestigious title to have. And they were pushing for this horse to do that, and thanks to another horse girl that turns up in the games, Oguri Cap, there was a way to enter even after the initial entrance period, and so TM Opera O started entering into these bigger races. But some of his initial races he lost because I think in one of them it was a case of the jockey was nervous of the other horses that were racing and sort of paying too much attention to other certain horses, so it allowed for ones he wasn't paying attention to either overtake. And so you sort of saw TM Opera having a period of sort of coming in third or coming in fourth all through, I can't remember if it was the second year or the third year, but you had this horse with great potential who wasn't quite meeting it, and part of that was the jockey's fault. And the owner of the horse, after several of these not quite losses, said, okay, we're going to get a new jockey. And this is very normal in jockey circuits, and you see it in other sports as well. People who own sports clubs or own horses or own teams or whatever can suffer from what a lot of businesses do, which is a lot of short-mindedness in terms of what are the success rates now, and not looking at the long-term health of the industry. Did my football club lose the last 3 matches in a row? Yes, they did. Well, clearly I need to get rid of the manager and bring in a new one. Never mind that, if the manager's only been there for 3 matches and he's only just starting to realise, the team's composition, what they're best at, how he can make the best changes. You've gotten rid of him, you've brought in a new guy, you're back to the square one all over again. You've got to start from the ground up. And whether you're managing a team of humans doing a sport or you're managing horses or any other animal, they're not machines. There's more nuance to it than that. And the wonderful thing for TM Opera O was the trainer who had gone the hard way to becoming a jockey and understood what the industry was like, basically said, if you get rid of this young jockey who is starting to learn and get his feet under him and has the potential to become a great jockey and take this great horse to great victories, if you get rid of him, then you can take all of your horses to another trainer as well, because that's not really what I want to be part of. We don't know what the exact response was from the owner. There's sort of no record of what that was. And bearing in mind these two were friends when they were growing up and, reconnected over horse racing. What is known is that the owner never brought up changing jockeys ever again. And that was just kind of his thing, is once they brought a jockey on board, as long as the jockey was working to get better and working with the horse, they kept the jockey. And as a joke, as TM Opera went into either their 3rd or 4th year, the owner said, don't lose a race this year. And it was completely a joke. If that was actually a job goal that you assigned to somebody, unfeasible. But it was a joke that he said to the jockey. And then in that following year, TM Opera O did not lose a single race. And he raced in the big races, the G1s, the top graded races, against some absolutely mighty competition like Meisho Doto. Who else was running at the time? Oh, it's gone out of my head now. It wasn't Manhattan Cafe. Manhattan Cafe was the next generation that came up. But TM Opera was racing against some big other horses and had a stage to fill and wanted to fill it. And he became known as the Overlord because he would just keep beating everybody. There was one race he ran where he came up as an end closer, which wasn't his ideal racing style. He just came from the back, charged past everybody to win because the jockey trusted him to the point where he didn't really do a whole heck of a lot while riding TM Opera anymore. The horse knew what to do and what it wanted. He knew what to do and what is wanted. So they trusted each other. And he didn't need to sort of use the whip to tell him when to go faster and encourage him. And, this is the time where you should speed up. They had a synchronicity between them by this point. And they both knew.
Concordance.
Yes, they hit concordance. They knew when the moment was. And they just won race after race after race. And it got to the point where I think it was like, what number race would it have been? I don't even know. But, this was significantly down the line where I think he'd had like 6 wins. And it was the 7th win and 7th race that he was due to race. And it ended up being a case of, instead of it being 16 horses all trying to win this race, it ended up being 15 horses trying to stop TM Opera O. And they failed. TM Opera ended up being caught up in the middle of the pack because everybody knew that was the threat. And if TM Opera got the break and the space to go, he would go and he would win. So he was kept sort of very constrained in the middle of the pack for most of the race. However, as they hit the last corner, and I think this might have been on the race course that is known for having a very short final straight, and it's also an uphill. which has denied many horses a win over time. He was coming towards it and he just broke out. He found a space, he took it, and he won the race, despite the fact that every other horse was effectively trying to stop him. He still won. He also came into the Autumn Tenno Show. And so there's this sort of another title known for beating the Spring Tenno Show and then the Autumn Tenno Show. And the Autumn Tenno Show is known to be cursed for certain horses. The curse is, if you are the favourite to win the Autumn Tenno Show, you will lose. Because I think it had been for something like 16 years prior to TM Opera O attempting this. The favourite for the Autumn Tenno Show always failed. They came in second, third, whatever, but they never won. If you were the favourite for this race, you would not win. TM Opera O won it. He just went, no, this is fine. And it just won it by a landslide. It wasn't like it was a neck victory that time, I don't think. It was a solid win. This horse was incredible and powerful, and very much his story is a story not just of his own desire to win and to perform on the racetrack, but the bond that he had with his jockey and the story of the jockey coming into his own and learning, when to trust the horse that he was with, when they needed to act as one, and when TM Opera needed that little bit of extra guidance, extra help. And they had this phenomenal year. The year that followed, everything sort of became, we need to beat the Overlord, he needs to lose, and he'd also gotten older, and you have the new generation coming in. This is the time where you had Agnes Tachyon and Jungle Pocket were the upcoming horses. Manhattan Cafe was an upcoming horse. These younger horses coming through, ready to take the mantle from the older generation, and the older generation beginning to age out. And we started seeing TM Opera losing races, in part because, people would block him out from having an easy route to victory, and also because he just wasn't capable of pulling as hard as he had done when he was that year younger. His age began to catch up to him. Still an incredible horse, still performing and placing in good positions, but he wasn't winning anymore. And they came to, I don't remember which race it was, but there was like one significant race that they were going to run, and they knew it was going to be the last one. If TM Opera O could win it, it would have been amazing, because he would have broken the streak of Symboli Rudolph, the Emperor. Symboli Rudolph was known as the Emperor because of the just amount of races he won in his career, and it was just, all of these races. And if TM Opera O had won this final race, he would have had, I can't remember if it was equivalent to or one more than Symboli Rudolph had. Unfortunately, TM Opera, I think, came in second. He didn't quite do it. It was second or third. And I'm not sure if that was the race where Meisho Doto finally was able to get a win. Because Meisho Doto, bless his cotton socks, just spent half of his career coming in second to TM Opera, despite being an amazing horse himself. So, TM Opera had his final race. He placed well, but it wasn't a win, and it was time. He had his retirement ceremony, and his jockey said, I will go and see him again once I win another G1 race. When I win my next G1 race, I will go and see TM Opera because I want to be a jockey that is worthy of this horse. So in his retirement, he had this massive respect for the horse and the horse's capability, and his understanding that the horse had taught him how to be a good jockey that he wanted to carry forward. He didn't feel at that time he was worthy of the horse that was now retiring, but he wanted to be. It took him, I think, 16 years total to finally win another G1 race. He ran a lot of other good races on other good horses and placed well, but he never won another G1 race for 16 years. And unfortunately, when he ran that race and he won, TM Opera O had passed away the month before. But he won the race, and in the winner's circle, TM Opera O, despite not having run the race, was still there. It was TM Opera O he was thanking, as well as the horse that he rode in that race. because he finally, it'd been 16 years and people knew about this. People knew that that was his promise. And he said, no, I am going to go and visit him. It's been too long, but I've done it. And I said I'd go and visit him, and I'm going to, because I want him to be proud of me. And he visited T.M. Opero's grave, which was a lovely, lovely thing. And this sort of brought in this next generation taking over, etc. You had Agnes Tachyon coming through, the Phantom Crown, who has a great story, the rivalry with Jungle Pocket, which is a big thing that Cygames turned into its own anime movie, celebrating their story. But this all came off of the back of the incredible run that T.M. Opero had, and the rivalry with Meisho Doto and the other great horses that were running at the same time. And though that is the focus Cygames brought into their game, into their anime series, into their movies, is these...
Ed?
Yes.
I'm sorry, just eye on the clock.
Yeah, I know, we've got 10 minutes. So that's how they sort of brought this, and that's why it has staying power, because it might be that we're talking about horses here, but this sort of underdog story that T.M. Opero has, it's compelling on a human level. The bond between the horse and the jockey is compelling on a human level. If you had that between two people, it would still be just as good and just as emotional and moving. And that concept of passing the torch to the next generation, because age eventually comes for us all, is a human thing. So that's why I think Uma Musume has the popularity that it has, is the way that they've taken the stories of these incredible horses that ran in these amazing sporting events and had incredible achievements under their belt, and translate it into something that anybody can relate to. The struggle of trying hard and eventually getting where you want to be, or trying hard and maybe never quite making where you want to be, but finding your own path in the process of doing so. You might not ever get to be the specific thing you wanted to be when you were young, but you might find a path along the way that is more rewarding, and you find your meaning in life. And that's human. That's something we all do. It's something that brings us together. And with that as the focus, that excellent storytelling, that excellent distilling of character, taking elements from the careers of these animals and translating them into traits that humans can understand as a shorthand, whether a character is stoic or over the top or confident or shy and retiring, and how you use those archetypes to explore the challenges we all face in life, that has staying power. And there's genuine passion there. I've talked before on other streams about all the elements Cygames lifted, like the racewear of the individual horses is drawn from the silks that the jockeys wore. Other elements that you sort of bring in terms of, what side the earrings are on, or their ear decorations are on, as to whether they were a mare or a stallion in real life. All these little things that sort of get brought in. The company had passion for horse racing. They genuinely cared about the sport they were representing, which means the product that they put out is a product of passion. And if you put passion into something, if you genuinely care and you're not trying to exploit your audience or just take their money, but you have something that you care about and a message that you want people to hear and gel with, it will be successful, as long as you find, the right people, as long as you're putting it in front of the right audience. And for me, that's the staying power of Uma Musume, and why I think some people love it and other people are like, why did you have to make it horse girls? Was there not a more sane way of doing this? There probably was a more sane way of doing this, but it was a great way of reaching their audience. I wish I could make a game too. I've literally got a design document for a game that I cannot make. But I know how to write and I know what the game looks like, so I made a design document, and it's just sitting on my hard drive and will never do anything at all ever in its life, but it's there.
Can I see that? I know a programmer.
I'll have to dig it out. It won't be anytime soon, because it's on one of my old machines. I'll have to dig it out, but it does exist. It does exist.
Just saying, I know a programmer or two.
Fabulous. But yes, passion and creativity and narrative and audiences, all these things come together. We've talked about them so many times on this stream, and I appreciate 56 of you sitting here listening to me witter about horse girls and why they're good.
Horse girls, good. You heard it here.
Yes, I shouldn't like.
WBPL
On the surface, I shouldn't like Uma Musume. I'm not into idol culture. I don't particularly like the pop songs that turn up in the soundtrack. There's only like one or two that I'm particularly keen on, etc. It's just there's a whole series of elements and cute things that are there. That's not my thing. My thing is dark fantasy. Uma Musume is not dark fantasy, but it's really good. And I actually care
Hey,
about Japanese horse racing now.
might I suggest a radical departure from common wisdom?
Mm.
You might like two different things that are not related. You may, in fact, feel two different things at the same time.
Impossible. Impossible. Cannot possibly happen.
I understand. I'm just, performing a supposition here. Oh wow. Okay. Yes. We
Right.
will honse.
We will honce
At
another
some
time. Maybe we'll do it as a pickup stream or something at some point once I figure out how to make it work. I thought I knew what I was doing. Turns out I didn't. What a shock for this stream, right? But we do need to get out of here. We have 5 minutes until BB's slot starts, and I want to give her some time to get set up and sorted and come and entertain you guys. I'm sure you will have a wonderful time, and she will squeak much because BB is wonderful. So I'm going to get out of here and take Lictor with me.
Bye.
We have WBPLW on Sunday as normal. I will see you there. Have a good weekend. Be wonderful to each other. And thank you for putting up with my nonsense. I really appreciate you, chat.
It's been a pleasure.
Ciao.